Hey everybody and welcome. I'm Joe. Thanks for joining me. I'm here with the fifth and final round of a Modern Friendly League. Currently sitting at 4-0 after beating Scapeshift, Jeskai Control, Bant Eldrazi, and last was Blue-Red Kiln Fiend. Unfortunately, I lost a die roll, which is not where I want to be while playing for 5-0. But let's go ahead and see the opening hands. This is a solid Merfolk hand. I have to keep it. The opponent mulliganed, so that was a little bit exciting. Hopefully we can take advantage of it. Okay, Urza's Tower. I feel like I always play Tron in the final round. Another land, not amazing, but it can get us to Master of Waves. Against Tron, we're really just racing. So no turn one play. The opponent, I'm sorry, I forgot to point out that the opponent suspended a Lotus Bloom on their first turn. So that has ticked down to 2. It looks like he's suspending another one. Sanctum of Ugin and go. Drew another land, so Master of Waves is going to be available to us. I'm going to play out Harbinger here so that if I play a Lord next turn, I can swing for 3 instead of just swinging for 2. The blooms go down to 2 and 1. Oh, we see an Expedition map. This guy got a pretty good mulligan, I have to say. Another Master of Waves. It's slow. It's slow. We're going to play out that Lord like I was saying. Swing for 3. Opponent's going to go from 20 down to 17. Lotus Bloom is going to come off of Suspend. It's going to resolve. Opponent's going to have access to a lot more mana. Cracks that for Ancient Stirrings. What is he going to find with Ancient Stirrings? He found an Ugin. So, Tron is such a gross deck. He uses a 1-drop to get an 8-drop that basically crushes Merfolk into the ground. It looks like they have a follow-up as well. Use their 2 green mana left from the Lotus Bloom to crack that Expedition map. And now they're 1 land away from Tron. I have no doubt that they have the 3rd Tron land in hand. Another Vapor Snag. That's probably not going to be good enough in this matchup right now. Can swing for 5. Opponent's going to go from 17 down to 12. I'll follow up with what should establish a lethal attack if the opponent doesn't have... Now, if the opponent doesn't have Tron next turn, I think we have a decent shot because this gives them just 6 mana next turn. So they could have something like a Worm Coil. If they have another land, they have access to 7 for Karn. Gets rid of the Master of Waves, but we're still pushing a lot of damage. Lotus Bloom coming off of Suspend. That's fine. It's going to resolve. And like I said, of course, they just naturally have the Tron. So 8 mana plus 3, they've got 11. They can do whatever they want to do. And at this point, I'm just going to start clicking pretty fast. The most disgusting thing of all is that after playing Ugin, they get to crack their Sanctum of Ugin, and they get an Ulamog. So even if I can deal with this Ugin, I have to deal with him destroying 2 of my lands. So he's going to wipe the board. Okay, it's worth noting that if I draw exactly an Island Walk Lord off the top, I can kill Ugin right now with the Mutavault. Unfortunately, I missed. So I had to think for a minute about what to do. Do I play Silvergill Adept and Harbinger, force him to -2? We know he has Ugin. He's going to kill either 2 of our creatures or 2 of our lands. In the end, I decide to activate Mutavault and swing at Ugin, leaving up mana to activate next turn and Vapor Snag in response to Ulamog trying to blow up my Mutavault. I know that it pretty much doesn't get there. What I'm banking on at this point is the opponent, after he uses this Lotus Bloom to cast Ulamog, if we bounce him and he has no more lands, he only has access to 7 mana and won't be able to recast the Ulamog. But he played a land. Now he has access to 9 mana without the Lotus Bloom. So he's tapping, Chromatic Star, cycling the Chromatic Star. We know he has an Ulamog in hand. 11 mana. Okay, so here's the Ulamog. He's going to choose to target what? I don't know what's taking so long here. So I don't understand. Let me see if I hit play, if that does anything. Okay. So he's trying to target my 2 lands. And I specifically left mana up to activate Mutavault and then bounce him back to my hand, since he's really the only thing that can dodge the Ugin effect, the board wipe. So activate and bounce the Mutavault to my hand. I have another Vapor Snag up to bounce this guy. So opponent currently only has 9 mana, can't recast Ulamog. So that's my window of hope here. I drew a land. It doesn't really matter. I play Mutavault and I guess just cast Silvergill purely to cycle. Ugin's going to be able to bolt him. This game is super far out of reach, but I like to just play. We're only down to like 20 minutes, so I've only been using like 4.5 minutes so far this game. He's going to bolt the Silvergill. And at the point that he casts Expedition Map, I know that he's going to be able to get more mana, and that's the moment when I scoop the game, because I can't fight against a recast Ulamog. I really couldn't fight against Ugin anyway, and that just happens sometimes. Opponent mulliganed to 6 and just had an insane hand. So, as I was mentioning, probably the most insane card was Sanctum of Ugin. It's basically a free Ulamog, which is just disgusting. So that was game 1. Let's go ahead and watch the replay for game 2. I am going to have the benefit of the play of this game. And this is a sensational hand. Double negate back up with 2 creatures and card draw. I'll take it. No 1-drops though, so island and pass. See what the opponent's got for us. Well, he does have a 1-drop. He's got a Chromatic Star. Island Walklord is more power. It's decent. Everything's a little bit slow right now. It doesn't seem like the opponent is on red-green Tron. We haven't seen any colored lands yet, so I don't think I need to run out the 2 lords. So I'm gonna err in favor of drawing cards with Silvergill Adept here. I think reveal one of the Island Walk Lords, and what do I draw? Cursecatcher. So that will let me make some plays next turn with my mana. This is cycling of the Chromatic Star, green floating, Sanctum of Ugin for the land drop, Sylvan Scrying. And he's looking for the Tron pieces. He found an Urza's Power Plant, but he's still 2 turns away from getting it. Getting Tron established. So I'm going to have time next turn to play out 2 creatures. And then in every subsequent turn I'll have up Negate. Master of Waves, super clunky right now. Just going to cast the Cursecatcher, cast the Lord of Atlantis. Swing for 3... The opponent's pretty slow on their mana development here. As I mentioned, they're not going to have Tron right now. They play an Expedition Map, though, so they're certainly going to have Tron if they want it next turn. But we've got Negate up. It looks like I drew a Vapor Snag. Not amazing draws for the last couple turns, but my opening hand, fortunately, was excellent. So I'm going to swing in for 7 here. It's still a 3-turn clock. But the opponent's going to have Tron here, and we just hope that they go for something like Ulamog or Karn that we can hit with a Negate. I guess, let's see. He suspended a Lotus Bloom last turn, so that's going to start ticking down. Has the Tron online, and what's he going for here? So it goes for the bomb. I've got the answer. This feels pretty good, but he gets to sacrifice the Sanctum of Ugin. You know, I think I jumped the gun a little bit here. I negated in response to Sanctum of Ugin. What does Sanctum of Ugin let him do? He can search for a colorless creature card, so he couldn't have gotten another Ugin anyway. So I guess it's fine, because countering Ugin is probably not going to change his choice of creature with Sanctum of Ugin. He's probably just going to go get... Well, I don't even know. Let's see what he gets. But Ugin got countered, and Sanctum of Ugin is going to grab... Oh, sorry, I'm just scrolled up in the history here. Worldbreaker. So he must have some green mana in his hand, or it's coming off of Suspend soon, I guess. We've got a pretty fast clock, though. Let's see. I think I rushed in my commentary a moment ago. I was saying it's a 3-turn clock, but it's actually a 2-turn clock because I've got the Lord in hand. It's exact lethal because it's 4, 3, and 3 for 10. So... even if it was 9 for some reason, if he cast Worldbreaker, we can just Vapor Snag him and get the last point of damage. So After the opponent cast Ugin last turn, tapped out for it, I pretty much knew that I had won the game. Because here's 10 points of damage, and we were able to get there. So forcing a game 3 against Tron. Let's go ahead and see how it went. So opponent's on the play. Another excellent hand. 2 Lords, 2 Aether Vials, and a Negate. So we're going to get some tempo out of the Aether Vials. Even through Artifact Destruction, we've got backup Aether Vials. So decent hand. The opponent kept, we kept. Starts with Ancient Stirrings. That's pretty strong. Let's see what he finds. Urza's Mine. So he's got one of his Tron pieces. Let's try to keep track of that. Putting the cards on the bottom of the library. And then for my turn, I drew Spreading Seas, which is really great, you guys know, against Tron. So Negate, Spreading Seas, Aether Vial, I'm feeling great about the way my hand is shaping up. We just have to sort of see what the opponent does and respond accordingly. So there is that Urza's Mine that he found off the Ancient Stirring. So at this point, we have no information about his hand. Here's an Expedition map. He's not going to be able to crack that this turn. So pretty slow stuff from the opponent's side. Aether Vial is going to go up to 1. Okay, so we have a second land here. We had it from the beginning. So what's your guys' play here? We have so many choices. We can play a land and leave up Negate. We can play a land and hit Urza's Mine with Spreading Seas. We can play a land and play a Lord of Atlantis to try to start establishing a clock. We can just play Aether Vial. So what do you guys think against this particular board state? Opponent has 5 cards in hand. He's got access to green mana. So for me, green mana, the most threatening thing really against our plan that it represents is artifact removal with Nature's Claim. So I'm a little bit afraid he's going to take me off of Aether Vial here. Nature's Claim also threatens to take us off of Spreading Seas. I'm pretty sure that one hits artifacts and enchantments. So if we play Spreading Seas and then he destroys it, he gets to untap, pop, maybe play another Tron piece, pop Expedition map. Like, he's just going right along like his merry way. I think the best play here is just to play a second Aether Vial. The opponent's not going to kill us next turn, and these Aether Vials just keep getting more and more value as you move like into subsequent turns. So I'm just going to play the Aether Vial. It doesn't really make effective use of the mana, the most efficient use. But it's going to just accrue so much value as the game moves forward. So the opponent didn't have any kind of artifact removal for us, so feeling pretty safe with the Aether Vials. He's tapping down to sacrifice the Expedition map right now, so not going to be able to do very much this turn. He gets a tower, and so now this is a great time to play the Spreading Seas on our next turn, because he's 1 turn away from establishing Tron, whereas last turn he was 2 turns away. Alright, so the Aether Vials get to tick up, 2 and 1. And we drew another Lord for the turn. This is like an insane amount of firepower. But as I mentioned, the best play here is going to be the proactive one. We're going to play Spreading Seas on the tower and just draw a card, see what we get. So the hand just continuing to develop more and more power. I've still got Negate. We're going to want to save this for something that's really, really got to get countered. So, oh, that makes me feel so good. The opponent had Natural Tron. He could still have the Nature's Claim to hit the Spreading Seas and then play like a Karn. So we're a little bit wary about that on his main phases. Or his turn, I should say. But looks like he doesn't have anything right now. So we get to put a Lord into play. And go to our upkeep. So definitely going to take both of these up. We've got double Lord of Atlantis, double Reejerey, and Negate backup. So we're going to put them on 3 and 2. And we're going to get to do this. Oh, another Reejerey. So it's super tempting, I think, this turn to just drop our hand, right? I could play Reejerey, play a Lord, untap this Aether Vial, play another Reejerey, and then put the other Lord into play. I guess we can't quite get all 3 Reejereys in this turn. We can get 4 Lords into play, though, I think. And we would swing for 6 this turn. But we don't want to overextend. Again, the opponent could be slow rolling. enchantment removal, in which case he follows up next turn with an Ugin after I've sort of vomited my hand and just wipes my board. If I swing for 2 right now, the opponent's going down to 18. If I end step Reejerey and Lord of Atlantis, I can untap. So then I'd have 3 creatures ready to attack next turn. With the opponent up at 18 life, I would need to have my creatures, my 3 attacking creatures, each be 6/6s. After bringing in 2 lords on the end step, everyone would be 4/4s, and then 2 more lords the next turn make them into the 6/6s that I need. So I'm going to leave 2 mana up for negate. If anything threatens my lord next turn, the opponent's probably not going to be able to tap out and play something insane like Ugin. So negate's got my back for this lord, and I should just have lethal next turn. So sort of representing a bit of weakness here, just swing with the 1 lord. Okay. So the opponent starts by playing their land drop. So we see a Sanctum of Ugin. That means they're not going to play any more Tron lands this turn. Even if they have an Expedition map and crack it, they can't play a tower if they choose to get it. So that made me feel pretty good that he played out the Ugin. Again, I'm a little bit wary of artifact removal. Okay, so here's an Expedition map, and I had to think for a moment about whether I wanted to use my negate here. Is there any way that Expedition map loses us the game this turn? Since they've already made their land drop, the answer to that question is no. There's no way Expedition map helps them win the game this turn. And so because of that, we just have to let it resolve. It's not threatening our plan right now, so we just let it resolve. No problem. It looks like that's all they have to do with the available mana. They're still holding up green, representing, like I was saying, nature's claim. But on the end step, I get to activate my AEther Vials. There's another Lord, so everybody's 4/4s, like I was saying. AEther Vials are certainly going to stay exactly where they are. And I drew another Island Walk Lord. This is probably the most insane hand I've ever drawn with Lords. Lords to the exclusion of everything else, except negate, which is just beautiful. So, I mean, the game plan here is just to start activating AEther Vials. I took a long time thinking about Expedition map, so I have to think the opponent understands that I probably have counter magic in hand. So we're just going to use the AEther Vials ability. So here I have 3 6/6s ready to attack for 18 with negate backup. So what can the opponent have? Okay, he's tapping mana here. Fog. So 1 green mana trying to prevent 18 points of damage, but that's what we saved the negate for. Anything that threatens our plan of delivering these 18 points of damage. It's possible he has more follow-up, but even negate, even Dismember at this point would not kill our creatures. They could have Warping Whale to put a blocker down, but we have Island Walk. So at this point, I think the opponent's basically left with no outs. He took 18 points of damage, as we planned, and I did it. I got another 5-0 against another 5th round Tron opponent. It's always interesting against Tron. So let me know your thoughts about this round. Let me know your thoughts about this matchup. It looks like the opponent was, he was just on mono green Tron, I guess, right? There's so many variants sort of popping up. For some reason, red-green has fallen really out of favor. Green-white seems to be the most popular right now. I saw green-black recently, and this looks like mono-green. So yeah, have you seen this matchup around? I think it's the first time I've ever seen mono-green Tron. So yeah, very excited to have gone 5-0 again. Just for a second, my rating has just ticked over 1800. I don't really know... I have no real frame of reference for the ratings, but and I don't really know where it's going to top out. I think once you get pretty high, the way I understand it, it's like chess. If you lose when you have a high rating against somebody doesn't have as high a rating, you just like drop down like crazy. So it's really hard to maintain a high rating, but I'm just happy to have hit this little milestone where I poke my nose above 1800 for the first time. So that's it. Thanks, as always, for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave any questions you might have. Of course, share any comments you might have about my plays, about the opponent's plays. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye.